Um, yeah. Okay. So can you just tell me your name and the A levels you studied at Sitton Islington College?
So my name's Megan and I studied biology, chemistry, psychology and maths.
Okay. So can you describe your normal study routine?
So I would mostly like use free periods if they were like in between my lesson slots to just like use them for like catching up with homework or doing like the pre-learning. And I found the pre-learning like really useful because by the time I'd gone into the lesson, I kind of already knew the topics. So the lesson time was the re-going over and like setting down that knowledge. So I really knew it. So that was kind of it. And then just going home and going over more homework and notes of bits I didn't understand.
Good. How did you balance college work and other sort of outside commitments?
So I think my main focus probably was like the academic side of trying to get like all my work done, but then I like did give myself time off with it all. So like I did know that like it was okay to say yes if I wanted to go out with my friends like once like at a weekend at some point, and then I found it better if like it was planned in advance. So I like knew that something was coming up, so I knew I could prepare that I wasn't going to do work in that time. And then like in year 13 I did have a part-time job alongside it, but I was only working like 1 day a week, and it was for like the same hours each day like in the week that I did it, so I could plan my whole like studying around that. I wouldn't be able to do that during my working time.
Can you describe how you revised?
So I did like do different techniques for different. I would make like A4 piece of paper like note sheet that would have everything from each topic in it. So if I was like doing an end of test topic, I could just go straight to that and it would have all the key points with diagrams. And as I was limiting myself to an A4 sheet of paper, I wasn't like going too far into it, and it was just the key knowledge. For psychology, it was mainly just like flashcards and blurting. For chemistry, it was a mind map, and then for like all of my subjects, I just used past papers because that was just like making sure I knew how to answer questions and not just had the knowledge but didn't know how to apply it. So, yeah.
Okay, good. Have you ever struggled to motivate yourself, and what's motivated you to work hard?
I think like I have had times where I've struggled to motivate myself, just when it's like if you've like been knocked back slightly or you get like a slightly less grade than you were expecting, you go, oh, is there any point me continuing? But then I like saw it and was like, actually I need to take this as a learning curve. This was like a one-off thing where I might have had like a down day, hence I'd got a lower grade. So I was like, okay, I can work from this, and then built it back up. And I think with motivation, I always had something that I was like aiming towards, even if it was just in the short term, like, oh, I'll do better in the next exam, or I want to go to this university, and either I want to do this job. So just having something that I was aiming for at like all times was like my biggest motivation.
Good. Did you make use of study groups when you were at college?
I guess like it was just like groups of people who I'd like met through my subjects before like exams, and because we all were doing the same subject and we like all knew what was coming up in like that specific test and knew what the content was, it was easier to ask questions to each other rather than like getting your friend who, if you were doing a flashcards and they didn't understand what you were saying, it might have been a bit confusing. But if you would, we were all doing the same subject, so we like knew all the terminology like word for word, so it was much easier to question each other that way.
Did you make use of your any sort of feedback from teachers?
I think like with when there was like written feedback or even just verbal, but it was like pointers to where I'd gone wrong and the exact errors where I'd made like lost my marks, whether it was like a mathematical error in something like biology or chemistry, or like a lack of reasoning, and in psychology meaning that I'd lost marks. So then next time I knew how to improve them so I could get like more marks in those types of questions.
Good. How did you organise your work to get everything done, and how do you prioritise?
I did like I would use a timekeeping app where you could grow flowers, and I'd set a different flower to each subject, and then when like you set the app, it completely like shuts off all your other apps on your phone, otherwise the flower dies. And I just wanted to make like a nice pretty garden for with all these flowers, and then by having different flowers for different subjects, I knew which subject I'd spent more time on. And then if I like saw like my biology flowers were like there was lots of them, I was like, I need to cut that one down and do some more maths, even if because I like did find maths harder when it got to A level. So, and then I would just like look at the areas that I found difficult, or if I didn't like, because most of the time if I didn't like it, it meant I found it difficult, and I mean I had to look at it more.
Okay, good. What extracurricular activities did you take part in when you were at college, and what did you gain from them?
So in year 12, I was part of the college production, and I was part of the band, and I like just got so. It was like the first time I'd played like my instrument on my own, being the only one playing that instrument in front of such a large group of people, and I just gained so much confidence like from it that I could do it, and I met so many people through it. I also played netball just to keep my exercise up, and I think like learned so much teamwork and skills through that. And then in year 13, I was like a mentee to some year 12s. And I think it just allowed me to realise if I actually knew the subject, because I was having to kind of just teach little bits of it to someone else. And I think that's probably like the best way to know if you actually know it.
Okay, a couple more questions to go. So can you just explain how the careers team helped you during your time at college?
Was that the careers question? Sorry, I just cut out there.
So you cut this once again. So how did the careers team help you when you were at college?
So it was, I think, a lot with the Oxbridge preparation, just with like organising interviews and like taking over personal statements, and like with the Lumina course, I did that, and that just really allowed me just to be around other people who were also looking to go into like Oxbridge and have an interview from someone who'd been there. And I think that was really useful, because the person who gave me my mock interview, she gave me like her questions that she did during her interview, so I knew it was like a real thing that I could have been asked.
Okay, last couple of questions.
Opportunities, because a lot of stuff.
Let me just cut out there. That's okay. We'll go on to the next question. What's your plan now that you've finished your A levels? What's the plan?
Hopefully, I'll be going to Durham to do an integrated masters in biology.
Brilliant. Okay. And last question, thinking about our year 12 students that are going to be starting and just starting their courses now, what sort of top tips do you have for them to be successful A-level students moving forward? Just a couple of key points.
I think just like start doing little bits of revision early, like just like bits and pieces here and there, because by the time you get to like end of year exams and then the big ones in year 13 and you have to put in more revision, it doesn't seem like it's too much, because you've always been doing little bits. It doesn't feel like you've just been revising all the time. I think it just feels less of a big strain and effort, but then also don't do too much early, because you don't want to burn yourself out.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to just stop the recording now. Stop